Let's go back into the courtroom now. We're about to see the defendant's interview.
Okay, you all set? I'm Sergeant Johnson, it's Detective Needham. We're talking with you today. Can I get your name?
Matthew, 2 G's. Scott, C-O-T-T, L-A-N-Z.
What's your date of birth?
10/19/1999. I'd be 22.
Okay. Where you live at, Mr. Smith?
I live in Athens right now.
You live in Athens? Okay.
North Church Street, UGA. Yeah, I go there every month.
Is this what we were talking about as a video kind of broken up in segments?
Yes.
Are they about like an hour a piece?
Correct.
So I'm going to move to the second video of States Exhibit 470.
Here, don't I graduate?
Restart. So this is the second video on 470, starting at 17:25 and 50 seconds.
Senior, don't I graduated? That's just 2 semesters.
What are you majoring in?
Cognitive science, so it's like AI and automated systems. So we're trying to improve the culture of that industry, making it more efficient, more effective, safer technology, because, it can be, it's very good at collecting data. That's kind of an issue these days, securing data and keeping it secure. It was always something I found interesting. So
It's pretty congratulations. How long have you lived there?
Are you GA? I moved in at the beginning of August. Would have been around week of August 7th, I would assume. And then I also live, at my house with my parents too.
Where's that?
It's in Acworth.
What's that interesting?
That's 600 HinIun Boulevard. That is 30102.
You live there with your parents?
Yeah, I have mom, dad, 2 sisters, a deceased brother, and we have a little cousin who lives with us too since I was in.
How old are your sisters?
My oldest is 30, so she has 2 kids now, and my other sister, say 20, 23, I think.
They all live there?
Mm-hmm. The oldest sister's on her own with her husband. She lives in her own house.
What's your phone number?
678 7808.
That's your cell phone? All right, what is, you obviously read the right English language?
Yes.
Under the influence of any alcohol or drugs today?
No.
Okay. So, and your education level is obviously college, so you're in college. I want to talk to you about what occurred earlier today, but I'm going to read you your rights first.
Okay.
All right, so before I ask you any questions, you must understand your rights, okay? So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say used in court as evidence against you You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and have him or her with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you without cost, and he or she may be present at all times during your questioning. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
Can we proceed forward talking about what happened earlier?
Is there a way that I could just, I guess if I get uncomfortable with answering, I could always,
Yeah, you have the
contact
right.
a lawyer.
Yeah, you have the right to stop.
We could proceed.
Okay. So all right, I appreciate that. Fine. Let's talk through your morning. Where'd you start your morning at?
It started in my apartment.
In your apartment? In Athens. And what time was that at?
Well, I think I had woken up around 2 o'clock to my mom knocking on the door.
In Athens?
Yeah. And I was like, what's she doing here? That just didn't make sense.
Okay. So what happened after that? What was she there for?
She had come to tell me that 2 people had been murdered in the house that is behind ours. And she was, coming to ask me, like, were you involved? And I said, no. I was on the way home anyway. And when all of that happened, I didn't hear any of it. They didn't hear any of it. And I had, I guess, left before it had happened because I had been going home. And then I went back to Athens because I was just too tired to go home and needed to come back for classes. So that's what I was doing that night before.
So where were you the night before?
In Athens and then at my home, and I drove back.
What time was that?
The drive down or the drive back both.
Yeah, but
So I guess I left Athens around 9 and probably got there 10, 15. And then I was at my house for probably, 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay, this interview being done just right. The way I have to commend this detective, the way he's advising him of his Miranda warnings. This defendant's agreeing, he's understanding that he has the right to ask for an attorney at any point in time, yet he's willingly, voluntarily, cognizantly speaking with the detective. And the detective is locking him into the timeline here. So we're going to pause it. We're going to pause it. And when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to get into the crux of the day of those dreadful homicides. We thank you for watching Court TV Live. The disappearance of mother Anna Walsh.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair.
It's a massive trail of evidence.
This incredible timeline of Google searches.
It shows everything that was in his mind.
He searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The disappearance of Anna Walsh murder trial. Live coverage begins December 1st on Court TV.
This is Court TV Live, and there is the defendant in the trial we are broadcasting in Cobb County, Georgia. This is in the greater Atlanta area, and it's like something out of a nightmare where this guy is accused of breaking into a home and murdering a beautiful young couple. Now, I just got a great question on Twitter I wanted to address about what he is wearing. Jen, thank you for this question on Twitter. Said, why is it that sometimes we see defendants wearing their jail jumpsuits like this guy versus others who are allowed to wear street clothes, suits, and whatnot when they go to trial? Excellent question, Jen. So here, it's important to remember this guy is not in front of a jury. So this is a bench trial or a non-jury trial. The judge is the finder of fact and the finder of law here. So because the judge already knows he's in jail, the judge has the case file long ago and has been following the case through the many pretrial court appearances. He knows that Matthew Lanz is behind bars, and he cannot and he will not use that as any kind of deciding factor. So there's no need for him to bring a change of clothing and get dressed up and dress in front of the judge when he's going to get undressed and put the jumpsuit on again and be re-shackled. It's just simply a waste of time. But really great question, because it would matter in front of a jury. If we were in front of a jury, I promise you he would not be wearing that lime green jumpsuit. All right, so let's go back in now and hear more of what he said in his interview with the detective.
What time do you leave?
30 or 40 minutes after 10:15, so it would have been around 11, I guess, that I had left.
What time did you get home?
It's hard to recollect, but it must have been, later than, I guess, 11:30, 40.
Takes about an hour and a half or so to get out there.
So maybe it was 12-ish.
I was just asking.
Yeah, an hour and a half is pretty accurate.
What'd you drive?
My car.
Which car is yours?
It's a black Lexus.
Okay. So your mom comes up there, asks you if you're involved in this. I hadn't heard about anything over Cobb, so I guess that's.
It was apparently it was a super crazy scene.
Oh yeah, like what?
I don't.
There weren't nothing, so we don't know.
Right. So she said. That apparently someone just like broke into their house and just murdered them. What their living room or something. She said that I was like, are there a shit ton of police there? Like, is there anything like to know? And she was like, nah, it just happened. I want to make sure you weren't there. And I was like, okay. I wasn't. So I told her that I had been coming home, that when I got there, I smoked a cigarette in the backyard. I did look at the people's house's light, because there's a big fence in our backyard. You can see the light through. Was back behind there. Yeah, and she was asking like, did you look over at their house or did you hear anything? And I was like, well, yeah, I looked over there and saw a light on or two when I was smoking a cigarette, and then I tried to go in the back door to our house. And it was locked. I couldn't use my key. I was going to go around the front door and go inside and sleep. It was already pretty late. And I was just going to stay home and do homework. And then I was just like, nah, I got in my car and sat there for a little bit.
You left, and then at 2 o'clock your mom shows up.
Mm-hmm. The next day.
Okay, what happens after that?
She was just talking to me about,
All right, let's step aside from this guy's interview and talk a little bit with our analyst guest, attorney David Gelman, on the show this morning. All right, David, want to know what you're thinking about as you're watching this trial, watching this guy here speak to this detective. Your thoughts, please.
Well, go back to what you previously said, Julie. I thought the detectives did a very good job with the Miranda. They advised them of their rights. He asked the question regarding, can I stop if I feel uncomfortable? And they said, yeah, look, you can get a lawyer anytime. Now, in New Jersey, you actually have to have a signature. So I don't know how they do that in Georgia, but I'm assuming they don't have to. But I think they did a great job. As for the defendant here, look, it really goes against his argument or the defense's argument, if you think about it, about mental inadequacies and the intent. Because in this interview, he seemed pretty with it, to me at least. He remembered everything. He remembered what his mom said. He remembered having a cigarette and going back to bed or trying to go to bed. So all these things really show that he did not lack the intent aspect here. And look, he had a self-serving statement by not saying that he didn't do anything, but he was looking over at the neighbor's house and whatnot. So look, it doesn't look very good for him. I will say that so far.
No. And then, David, if this guy wanted to get up there on the stand, quickly, if you're his attorney, what do you tell him?
Don't. Very simple. You're going to just create more of a grave for yourself than you already have.
Yeah. We'll see what this guy does. Boy, he's something else. David Gilman, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. We got to let you get off to court. You got cases to win. Friends at home, don't go anywhere. More of this defendant's interview next. We're watching the stranger home invasion case live here on Court TV this Wednesday morning. Thank you for being with us. I'm your host, Julie Grant. The defendant is a young man named Matthew Lanz. He's accused of breaking into his new neighbor's home and murdering Justin Hicks and his wife, Amber. Beautiful young couple. Justin was a firefighter in the area, and they are survived by a 2-year-old son named Jacob, who the shooter left unharmed. Let's go back in now and hear more of the defendant's interview with police.
She just wants me to focus on school and try and be a hard worker for her and try and stay focused and stay out of trouble, which is what I try to do. I'm sure that's important to your mom and my dad. They're very respectful people. They want their kids to be good people and successful. So they have to instill good values, which I think they have.
Seems like it. You got to do a program like that at UGA.
Right. I mean, I was always a smart kid. I went to enhanced high school called magnet school. So school was kind of always a pretty easy thing for me to get along with. Even though kind of like an introverted personality type, I always was pretty fun learning good stuff. But UGA has been good for me to help me socialize, to be more open. It's really good.
Learning's enjoyable.
Some people just don't like learning things.
It always helps when it's a passion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Passion. So, how did you, if you were in Athens, how did you end up back down here?
Or here? I was actually going home again in my car right out of gas.
Do you remember where that was?
Yeah, it was over near. On the way, this was down 75 near, kind of near 5. Way past 575, like closer to Athens. I'm not sure the actual road name. But
Can you describe the environment?
I'm not sure.
There's restaurants or gas stations.
It was, it's on the 75 drive back from Athens to Kennesaw.
Away do you take?
I want to say, you guys are Sandy Springs, right?
Yeah,
I want to say kind of nearby.
I got you.
All right, so the car breaks down and gas, then what happens?
Then I just got out, started walking.
Where were you walking to?
Nowhere specific. Just kind of thinking about what I was going to do on the car, get out gas.
So what happened next?
For sake of honesty, I just walked through that neighborhood.
Okay.
And then I just got some hunch that that house was something I needed to go into. And then, you know, when I was in there, the dogs were like acting very friendly. And then, you know, the lady starts saying, "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" And I was saying, "Well, it's me, Matthew." Like, "Oh, I don't know who you are, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Well, maybe I'm just not in the right house." And then she called her son upstairs, Matthew. She started calling the police after he came down. I believe it. I'm just standing there. No, I was thinking about just leaving. There's really no way to describe that kind of interaction. You know, when she called the police and you guys showed up, I went upstairs because that's where I thought I had to go check out. I didn't find anything that really.
What were you looking?
I wasn't really sure. Just some place that felt I needed to be there. That's really.
What happened once the police got there?
I was upstairs, and then you know, they were kind of near the bottom of the stairs. And I just wouldn't come down because I was just up there.
Were they talking to you?
Yes, they were communicating. I was communicating.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
What were they saying to you?
Just stuff like, you know, come downstairs. This isn't your house. So the next one over. I was like, that's not right. It was just here. But I guess it felt more uncertain. And then started going down the stairs. You know, I saw the load of police. I don't know how many there were. There was probably 7 or 8 of them. I don't know. I guess it kind of freaks me out.
Made you scared?
Not necessarily. I mean, I thought they might have shot me on sight.
So what happens next?
I don't know. Based on what happened, I think I could just call a lawyer for other info credits.
You can call a lawyer at any time. I just want to know, for the truth, you know, like you've been pretty truthful with me so far, just kind of your side and your version of events, because I only have one side.
Just the way I would describe it is, I just kind of punched at this dude that night. And then
You tell me why.
You know, considering I don't think they were going to let me be after some event like that for some reason. You know, I just thought I was going to go to jail or prison instantly. And then once, obviously, the knife punch was thrown, you know, all the officers sprang into action. That one officer got killed, and then I just got very cool. So, because
Those what?
a miracle. That was a very close shot to my brain. But it wasn't hate or anything. There was love in my body. Or I think I was just looking for something to wasn't there.
What made you feel like you needed to be in the house?
I would say a message from God.
Can you tell me about your name?
Oh, he says there wasn't hate there, that there was love, that he had love. What do you think the judge is thinking hearing that? Let's bring in our legal analyst guest to weigh in. Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor John Mobley is with us. I'm being told, do we not have John Mobley? Oh, well, the tech gremlins got us. I'm being told we had John a second ago, and then as soon as I said his name, apparently his video froze up. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hit a break. We're gonna work to repair his signal, and we'll bring him in on the other side. What do you think of this defendant? Does he sound like he's on another planet to you? More of his interview is coming up next here on Court TV Live.
You have to punish him, you have to kill him for a few $100?
You don't touch fire and expect not to get burned. My goal is to embarrass you. My goal is to make you suffer. My goal is for pain. Make sure that you remember me for the rest of your life.
You weren't feeling any sympathy.
If I'm being honest now.
You kill a man for acting like a junkie when you're the one turned him into a junkie.
Interview with a Killer season finale, Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
Thanks so much for being with us on this Wednesday morning. I want to show you the trials we're tracking for you right now here at Court TV. In Massachusetts, we're watching the jury selection as it rolls on for the murder trial of defendant Brian Walsh. He's accused of murdering his wife, Anna. Opening statements expected to start December the 1st. In Tennessee, the man convicted of murdering Holly Bobo is back in court. Defendant Zach Adams wants a new trial. And by the way, he's expected to be testifying in the hearing this morning. We are following that. Plus, in Georgia, we've got testimony resuming in the murder trial for defendant Matthew Lanz. This guy's accused of breaking into his neighbor's home and murdering a beautiful young couple that left their 2-year-old son sadly behind. Thank goodness that child's being raised by his grandparents, who seem wonderful. We saw the child's grandpa come in as a witness. This is such a heartbreaking case. And we're hearing the defendant right now do an interview with one of the detectives on the case. And here, he's getting into what happened on that dreadful day. We left off at a point where he said he didn't have any hate with the things he did, only love. Let's go back in.
Can you tell me about your knife? Did you bring it with you? Did you find it in the house?
It was in my car because it's been under my ownership, and it's a fixed blade.
What kind?
I believe it's a Kogan old steel. Nice knife.
Where do you carry it at?
I usually don't care.
Where were you carrying it at today?
On my hip.
Can you show me on your hip?
That sheet.
Hey,
I bet you.
$30,000.
The hilt's pretty, with the blade. So the overall, they just look haters.
Anything else you want to tell me about the incident that you haven't told me so far?
Yeah. I just don't think what I did was good. I think I could have just left that house in peace and been on my way to getting my car back. Being at school or my family at school too. I'm not sure where to look at.
Anything else you want to talk about? for the sake of honesty and us getting you help and making sure it's all right.
Right. So I've been talking to mental health specialists that, can affirm them mentally unstable. And this is my, I guess, detaining, it's lifted. Maybe there's more checkups to do with them. Just to talk through.
Well, we're going to get you that. We're going to make sure that you see all your doctors. And
We both feel like you need help. I'm going to get you there.
Yeah, I mean,
anybody that needs help and wants help,
I do
deserves to be able to get it.
Though I do feel like I don't need it. I think it can be good.
Well, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about that you think would be good for us to know or to get off your conscience, or maybe that's happened in the last couple of days that led up to this incident or occurred after this incident that you think would be helpful for people?
I think having faith in God is very important.
Did you? So you're a believer? You're a Christian? I am too.
I think God is very real if you let Him.
I agree. Do you go to church?
It's kind of a more like seasonal, occasional. We don't go to church too often, but yeah.
That doesn't have to have an effect on what you honestly on your level of belief. But one of the biggest things is to be forgiven for your sins that you commit as a Christian. You have to be honest and repent about what you did.
And I have made that security with God. I feel like He loves me still. Because I do. I did.
Do you think there's anything that He's telling you that you need to talk with us about and tell us about so that it can clear your conscience?
Killing is always kind of, killing. I think killing should be used like a self-defense, and then militarily nation defense principle. So I believe in the concept of self-defense and the castle domain in Georgia. That kind of speaks to me. As a responsible gun owner.
You own a gun?
But I don't have it in my possession.
Where is it?
Respect to decline the answer.
Yeah, I mean, this is your. It's not on you, right?
No.
Is it in a safe place so that nobody can get to it?
It's safe and secure.
Okay. All right. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to defend yourself?
No. I mean, I thought when my mom showed up, she had busted the chain off the lock. I was like, grab my pistol off the ground. But that was it, because I saw him hurt.
What kind of pistol do you have?
It's a Glock.
What model?
7.
What caliber? 9? Glock model 17?
I love those 17s.
They shoot very well.
That was what switched me over to Glocks, man.
They get them literally Glock.
Whole life till I used a 17.
How long have you had them?
The pistol? Mm-hmm. It's been maybe 1 or 2 years.
Where'd you buy it from?
Athens.
No, I've been there. It's a good place. Are you a specific ammo kind of guy, or?
I shoot FMJs. And then like, don't they make federal makes look good, like all the points.
Yeah. What kind do you give your gun?
The brass with copper.
Copper jacketed crown.
Yeah, it's the hollow points. They have like different kinds. Something. I just know the federal different guns, and the federal makes good call.
I'm just curious because I mean we don't have anything to do with the gun, so why would you want to tell me where your gun is?
I don't know. I think it's just like irrelevant for the aspect of evidence. I just think it's just in a safe, locked in the house.
Yeah, but it's locked up.
Yeah. The parents have.
Okay, because the big thing we just worry about, things like this go down, people in other people's houses so many times that people, a lot of different folks than you, and they got guns and they end up just out in the woods somewhere, and we just don't want a kid to get it or something like that. That's why we're asking about guns.
Yeah,
it's nothing about you. I just don't want little Johnny to go run through the woods and pick it up. That'd be a real tragedy.
Right.
And that would be pretty heavy on your heart now.
Yeah, I think
being a Christian, it would. I mean,
killing kids. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's always a tragedy.
Are you sure there's nothing you want to? In the trash can?
Trash can?
Let's see.
Sure there's nothing else you want to talk about this incident and that would help you ease yourself?
I don't think so.
Make sure you got enough better, okay? You need more water. Definitely. I got you.
All right, we'll just hang out for a minute.
I'll bring a fresh cup, all right, Matthew? Thanks,
Little case of the hiccups there, or maybe worse. You saw the detective move the trash can nearby, just in case. Let's talk about this guy. What do you think of this defendant? Let's bring in our legal analyst guest, attorney John Mobley, with us this morning. John, take two. We couldn't see you the first time, but you're ready to go now. So what exactly is up with this guy? What do you make of him as you watch this interview?
I tell you, Julie, got a call like I see it, of course. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is that this defendant is lucky to be alive. When you consider that he just committed a double homicide, at the time he was arrested, he was in the commission of another home invasion. He had stabbed a police officer, and responding officers showed up on the scene and fired their weapons, and he was shot, but he wasn't killed. I mean, that just kind of boggles my mind. I mean, you see, people that are shot and killed for way, way less these days. So the fact that he stabbed an officer, he was in the middle of a home invasion, and he still wasn't shot and killed to death is quite frankly amazing to me.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, John. It really is. Do you think, to that point, do you think that he was trying for a suicide by cop situation?
I don't think so. When you listen to his interview, it's pretty understandable why he could be found both competent and sane. And just for the viewers, there's a distinction between mentally competent to stand trial and legally insane. Competence just means that, you are able to understand the nature of the proceedings and assist your attorneys. And the legal insanity just means that you can't be responsible for the crime based on mental health or mental illness issues, such as you don't understand the difference between wrong or right, or don't understand the nature of your actions. But he seems to check all the boxes. When I listen to some of the things he said during the interview, I mean, he talks to the officers about calling a lawyer, which indicates he understands the legal process. He talks about, when the officer's responding, knowing that he might go to jail or go to prison. Again, understanding the legal process and the consequences of his actions. He described in interviews with a psychiatrist, and something I found interesting is he said, yeah, they already told me I'm mentally insane. And again, insanity is a legal defense. So him using those terms suggests to me that he understands that if he's found insane, that he could legally be found not responsible for these crimes. And for him to put that out there, yeah, they've already told me I'm mentally insane. Other things he's talking about, he's talking about things that indicate he understands the legal concept of justifiable homicide. He's talking about killing in self-defense being justified. And I'm not sure if you caught it, but he also it seemed like he made a reference to the Castle Doctrine, which allows, for the lay people, you understand, of course, Julie, that's the concept of allowing a person a greater right of self-defense in their home. So if you can show killing or homicide be justifiable if you were in your own home. So for someone that is, allegedly, incompetent to stand trial, and according to his attorneys, or perhaps insane, he has a very strong command of the legal process and the legal system.
He does, John. Really sharp analysis you just gave us. When he said, I don't think I want to hand over my firearm because that's irrelevant, I'm thinking, oh, this guy, that is why, for the reasons you just stated, John Mobley, that is why we're not seeing a trial where he's pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. I'm sure his lawyers would have had him evaluated, make double, triple check sure that he was sane at the time, and so they're stuck with this other defense. The CIA did it, apparently, is what this guy believes. John Mobley, I want to get your thoughts on that. I have to take a break. Stand by, kindly, please. Friends at home, let us know what you think about the setup theory this defendant is articulating to his attorney. His attorney doing a fine job, by the way, representing him on these really, really awful facts. We'll be right back.
Matthew believes that he has been set up by either FBI, CIA, or some government agency. I think you'll hear some information about that through his statements, or will have the ability to listen to those and evaluate those.
His defense attorney has such a tough job here. Have to commend him for working with the awful facts that he's been given in defending Matthew Lanz. We're watching Matthew Lanz's interview, and we just had the defense attorney lodge an objection because apparently there was a pause in the questioning, and he's making the contention that the rights need to be reread to this defendant, the Miranda rights. So let's go back in now. The judge is allowing things to continue. Let's watch more of the interview.
Good old water.
There you go.
Oh, you got some. I guess I wanted to touch back on the night prior and, kind of the messages you were getting. And you talked about that incident that occurred, where it was behind your house?
Yeah.
There'd probably be some good information for us, and you can tell us, like, as a witness, kind of like what you saw when you're out there. I think you said you were smoking a cigarette.
All I saw was that they had a light on, and I guess it's their bathroom. And then that's really all I saw. Maybe some lights that flooded through the fence holes. That's all I saw.
Did you go look or anything?
No, I didn't look through the gate or anything. I wasn't thinking about it that. And I left, I guess, before it happened.
Did you see anything suspicious over there that night?
No, I can't. I didn't do anything suspicious.
Hear anything?
No, that's the weird thing, I guess.
Why? Why would
I
Have you ever been over there?
Like when I was a kid, one of our parents' friends just lived there. We were kind of good friends with their kids' friends. But then they
Do you know who lives there now?
no. I think she said it was just like a random couple.
Yes, like that.
I think the people that lived there before them did.
How old was the kid?
The old people that used to live in. It was a young, I think.
What about the people that live there now?
I guess they're dead.
Yeah, I guess.
That's crazy. That neighborhood wouldn't have, I definitely expected something like that to happen.
Yeah. You know, they had kids?
I don't know. They must have moved down pretty like recently, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure if they had a kid. I think.
And so they did. They had a little kid in there.
Did it get killed? Did the baby get killed?
I don't know. I hope not. You know anything there?
No.
That poor baby dad. So you had a real big passion for kids.
I mean, it pains me to know and work a child could, be without their parents like that. That's just very good.
Good to listen from there.
Dude. Who?
But I think that baby was in there.
In the house? Over here.
Over here, so that little kid was in the house when all that happened.
From me? Or from
Just the point. I mean, I didn't know about that incident until you started talking about it earlier, so I would have read some news articles.
Well, that's just just looked it up. It's bizarre. Yeah, apparently that little kid was home for all that.
Well, their parents had kids.
Anything kids do them.
I don't know. Did they take it? Did they take was it a boy or girl?
Do you know?
No, I don't know. I was just gonna ask. Did they take it to? I guess they took the baby to a safe place. I hope so. Yeah. An orphan is such a hard thing to deal with. So.
Yeah. Kids. You said you didn't know him in the house. The news also said that she might have been pregnant. And so
That's crazy.
It was really two kids.
All right, we're going to pause the interview right here. There's more coming up for you here on Court TV Live. We'll be right back. The disappearance of mother Anna Walsh.
Her husband now charged with her murder.
All eyes on this accused killer.
Mr. Walsh was suspecting his wife of having an affair.
The massive trail of evidence.
This incredible timeline of Google searches.
It shows everything that was in his mind.
He searched how long before a body starts to smell.
The disappearance of Anna Walsh murder trial. Live coverage begins December 1st on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We have some brand new developments to share with you this morning in the death investigation of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Singer David now reportedly being identified by Los Angeles police as a suspect. The teenager's decomposing body was discovered back in September in the trunk of a Tesla registered to Singer David. The medical examiner has yet to determine a cause of death. To be very clear here, David has not been charged with any crimes. Sources do say that he is not being cooperative, though, at this time. No arrests have been made to date, and of course, we at Court TV will continue updating you with any more information we learn about this case investigation. Right now, though, back to the trial in Georgia. This is something out of a movie. It's a nightmare where these two innocent people were in the privacy of their own home and violated in the very worst way. A stranger invades their home and murders them, leaving their little 2-year-old son to be an orphan. Let's go back in now and see more of the defendant's police interview.
This is why we're so interested in what you might have heard or seen. Everything we got going on right here is off to the side right now. I mean,
all I saw was that the lights were on.
Now, which lights were those again?
It was I think it's their, it's like a window like above the middle of their house. And my brother was, I think, getting harassed by the old couple that used to live there through that window and stuff. So it was just super crazy.
They were harassing your brother?
I think so.
What were they doing to him?
I don't think they ever really found out.
Were they prosecuted for it?
No. Because
Saved it for that baby,
it's really,
things happen, people make mistakes, but it's just important for that little kid, to have something to, some sort of justice, some sort of closure, because we were talking about earlier, I think we're all Christians in the room,
I don't know, do you think that baby will grow up knowing that pain?
I didn't know.
Losing their parents.
But I think what could help with that pain is some closure and honesty and doing the Christian thing, because.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have anything to I don't have the information about it because.
Do you know anybody that does?
No, I wouldn't. Besides the I guess the local police were there. Besides what they found, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. They Have you heard anything of what they found? Your mom tell you anything? He probably has better knowledge than we do because all we could read was what was on the news. So what all did she say? How'd she find it?
I don't know. I mean, she must have, I guess, seen the police in the morning or whatever. And she was just like, do you know anything about 2 people being murdered? I don't know, in the neighbor's house behind us. It's like, no, that's unbelievable. Just say, and I told her about coming home and smoking a cigarette in the backyard. As I mentioned, like, I was napping in my car. And I said, and I left 5, 6 o'clock for me. Just came back to Athens.
It's probably not news. I can't get crap from those articles. Did she say how they were killed? Because we can't even get them.
I think she said they were shot.
What do you think happened?
Again, I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't get the feeling I knew somebody was up to something, you know, when I was looking at their house anyway. I guess they just broke in and I don't know.
What do you think about the person that did it? What do you think about them? What kind of person do you think they are?
I don't know, how brutal was it?
I don't know.
Was it even brutal?
Well, it was not in our jurisdiction, so we don't.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that you're going to be a great witness, so that's what I just want to
I wouldn't be able to say anything but witness.
The only thing we got was just literally going around.
Oh, he might say something as a witness. He's going to have the right to testify or not in his own defense. Is he going to do it? He has no prior criminal history, just this instant case that's in question. Let's talk about it with our legal analyst guest, attorney John Mobley. Okay, John, if you're a betting man, what do you think this guy is going to do when the judge asks him if he wants to testify?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that because, you know, what I was thinking about was before the break when you mentioned the statement his defense attorneys made in their opening about the defendant believing he was the victim of a federal or government conspiracy. And I think everyone's somewhat surprised that his lawyer said that in the opening. And I think, you know, this kind of leads into where the defendant's rights kind of not conflict, but kind of end with the attorney's authority in the trial. The defendant has a right to testify. As you indicated, if he wants to testify, he can. He can get up there and say whatever he wants to say. His lawyers can't tell him what to say, can't make him not testify. He has a right to get up there and say that he was a victim of a government conspiracy and he was set up. He can say all those things. However, you know, for our viewers, the defendant's attorney actually has a right to control the trial strategy. The defendant in a criminal case does not have the right to control trial strategy. So while the defendant is free to get up there and say whatever he wants, his attorney can still say, you know something, we're not going with that. That's not a valid defense. That's not a credible defense. This is how we're going to defend this case. And that's where the defendant's rights kind of end and the attorney's authority kind of begins. Now, realistically, if you've been paid by the defendant and they're actually paying you as opposed to you being appointed by the court, if you don't defend the case they want, then they're going to fire you. And they're going to hire somebody else. So, but, you know, in this case, I can't understand the advantage he would have to testify. I mean, typically, you know, when I'm trying to assess whether the defendant's going to testify, I look at what they have to gain, and I'm not seeing what he has to gain by testifying.
Right, John. Yeah, just gonna keep digging that hole even further that he's already in. We got more of that interrogation video coming up. John Mobley, thanks so much for spending part of your Wednesday with us, and thank you at home. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage of the Stranger home invasion trial continues. /TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rollins. Happy Wednesday to you. Good to be along with you. We're in Georgia this morning for the Stranger home invasion murder trial. Then 22-year-old Matthew Lanz is accused of fatally shooting a couple that had just moved into his neighborhood. He lives with his parents. It was a seemingly random attack and a heartbreaker. Justin and Amber Hicks found dead on the morning of November 18th, 2021. Their 2-year-old son was unharmed, but found covered in blood, trying to cuddle his parents as they lay dead beside him. Let's go back to the courtroom now. The defendant speaking to police. Now the jury, well, actually, this is a bench trial. The judge, and we're all watching what he said after these brutal murders.
What's your opinion? What do you think? Like, what kind of person is that? Do you think it was somebody that made a mistake or had a hunch about something?
Maybe it was. I mean, I would say it was coincidence that it happened on the same night that I showed up, but I didn't hear anything, which is crazy. I mean, or someone could have just been trying to rob and they got scared. I don't know. Just kidding them there. I don't know, but that's nuts. But he must have broken in a door or something.
Your mom was talking to you about it. Did she hear from anybody where in the house they were or anything?
No, she didn't really. She might have. I can't really remember what she was saying. I was just trying not to get too worked up about that happened so close to them. It's kind of close to their home.
What do you think should happen to the person?
I guess it depends, with what intention it was even, attempted at. I don't know what they were trying to do, which is always the weird part.
I just keep thinking about that kid, that poor kid and what he's going through right now, what he's going to go through as he grows up. Just weighs on my heart about the child. That they're behind your house.
But you think kids don't really not have any idea what happened to his parents. Heartbreaking. That's just, I could imagine not with a world growing like that.
A lot of orphans do it though, which is not hard. They can grow up to be some of the successful people.
Just make them all go back for that one good.
Sure. I say prayers for.
I'll be praying for that kid and not the sister. Every so much.
Yeah. I never used to be super religious, but God's really helped me find a lot of strength myself, others. So I keep them close in mind.
Yeah, I kind of get this vibe from you that, with your religion and God and kind of our connection here, that there's something there that you want to help bring peace or healing to somebody.
I think the energy might have been off for some reason, and maybe that just, I guess, just from the sense of me being at home in the backyard and noticing the lights looking a little wicked, I guess. I was put off by it.
Yeah. I think you were there for a reason, you know?
It's just a notice, I suppose. Yeah, the universe.
God put you there, you know, for a reason, so you could
bring some clarity to myself, I suppose, and be able to say prayers and try to find some peace with that child.
You know, I mean, sometimes we all go through a point in our life where we feel like God put us there for a reason. Everybody's got different.
But you know, I was kind of not a believer when I was younger. I was more of a atheistic science believer.
Allow me to switch to next. Record Bill States Exhibit, I believe 470. That's 470. Now this is disc 2, video 1, presuming where the previous video.
I'm sorry, this floor was kind of.
I don't even know where to begin. All right, this is States Exhibit 470, still, but disc 2, video 1, a continuation from the previous video on disc 1, video 3. And
I was always knowledgeable of the concept of Christianity and its values. I guess it always helps guide me towards confident lover of God.
If anything, it's a great guide on how to live your life.
And a guide on how you navigate mistakes, you know? It's definitely, you know, because, I mean, Jesus came back for the sinners, you know, to wash people of their sins so that they could have a second chance of life.
That's a courageous act.
You know, I mean, God sent his only son back to a world of filth and sin, you know, so that we could have a afterlife. But through his son, you know, there are things that as Christians we have to do as well. You know, we have to be like Jesus, act like Jesus, die by his ultimate word.
He is a very intelligent being and knows love with confidence.
And he was murdered for that. You know,
that's all. It's just ignorance, I think. You know, old times.
And the eternal love that he had to offer.
You know, it takes time to love like that. It's hard. It does. And it's worth it if you're able to be in that place in your heart.
Do you know the people that live behind you? Were they believers?
I'm not sure. I think, you know, the people who live before their dad might have been, or the dude who originally bought the house, I think, was probably pretty Christian. He probably believed, you know, and that would passed on to his children. These new people, I'm not sure.
Had you ever gone over their house? The new people? Like just go meet them, say, hey, how you doing? I'm your neighbor.
No, it was kind of like suspect, like idea to even like involve myself in that house, like because my brother was so entangled by something that was happening.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that and the relationships they had?
With all due respect, it was just, I think he was being harassed. And just kind of got out of control.
Did you ever try to help them though with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do with my friends and family. I try to talk to them, be logical, and listen to their issues and responsibilities and feelings. I try to work to maybe see if they can find some more things.
And that's really good.
Enjoy it.
Are you still trying to
Okay, talking about Jesus with this defendant. It's interesting. Alexis Rosenberg's watching along with us. She's a trial attorney in Sarasota, Florida. This is, what's your takeaway from this back and forth in this police interview, the tactics from the detective and the defendant sort of, pretending he doesn't know what, boy, he's right with him. He's upset too about this thing.
I think the tactic that the detectives are taking is a very good tactic. They're getting him to talk. He hasn't asked for an attorney. They're getting the timeline. They're sitting there with him. They're trying to be on his level, talking about Jesus, as you mentioned, Ted.
Yeah, and giving him, I guess, the opportunity to slip up without the white light in the face and the beating of the, there's different ways to accomplish the same goal. And in this situation, it seems as though they've been able to pick up on his energy and they're sort of replicating it.
I agree. The tone, the manner that they're speaking, and if they did take the approach that you just mentioned, the hostile, aggressive talking to him in that manner, I think he would have shut down. I think psychologically that this was the best approach to get him to open up. I mean, he's just talking away. He really is.
Yeah, and kind of like he's one of the guys there, and they're making him feel that way, even though he's anything but. Do you think that he will, because there's no jury here. I mean, there's no real point of taking the stand in this case, right? I mean, he's got the judge who's watching this. It's a bench trial. I don't see any upside of him getting up on the stand and testifying in front of a judge who can see right through everything.
I agree with that, but I also think that defendants decide to take the stand for various reasons. As we know, a lot of times against the advice of their own attorney. It may just be that he wants to talk or he wants to get out what he has to say. We don't know. So it's possible that he would take the stand, but from a legal standpoint, I don't think it's going to be helpful.
Yeah, and his demeanor inside the courtroom has been, like we just saw there, he's kind of shrunked over. He doesn't seem as though he's actively involved really in his defense. It's just this little exercise in torture for him to go through all of the evidence in this case. So we'll see. You never know. Like you say, Alexis, sometimes we get surprised when a defendant says, yes, let me do it. Let's get a break. We know we're going to do that. And then when we come back, we'll pick up this police interview, this discussion between buds in the police interrogation room right after this.
You have to punish him? You have to kill him for a few $100?
You don't touch fire and expect not to get burned. My goal is to embarrass you. My goal is to make you suffer. My goal is for pain. Make sure that you remember me for the rest of your life.
You weren't feeling any sympathy?
If I'm being honest now.
You kill a man for acting like a junkie when you the one turned him into a junkie.
Interview with a Killer season finale, Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
I think they thought there were folks out to get him, and I think it was on the devilish, demonic side of his mind that he was hearing things, seeing things, believing things that weren't true, that led him to believe somebody's going to come get me.
That's the parents of the defendant, Matthew Lanz, telling police that their son was experiencing delusions in the months and weeks before he allegedly killed their neighbors. Justin and Amber Hicks had just moved in behind the Lanz family home when prosecutors say the then 22-year-old college student broke in and shot them in a seemingly random act. Let's go back into the courtroom now. We're listening to the defendant speaking to investigators in a police interrogation room.
still trying to, I know you said your brother passed, and I'm very sorry about that. Are you still trying to help clear some stuff up for your brother?
He was a great soul. He was always one of my, if not my best friend. It's been a tragedy on him, especially in such a short manner. It's been pretty hard for me. That's why I've been talking to, the mental health specialists reliably and with confidence. So I can show them that I'm, not trying to devolve into something that's important.
Having somebody to confide in is huge.
It really is.
I've been there.
Talking to people about your problems is a really good way to heal the soul.
Yeah.
Just in your struggle.
Best way to get it off their conscience, because literally, it'll kill you, both emotionally and physically. You can't keep stuff like that on your conscience. I mean, number one, for your well-being, but number two, for your faith. You can't.
Well, I don't have any weight on my conscience about me being there.
If you, hypothetically, if you were, would you? Would it weigh on your conscience if you were there?
I don't know, because I've never killed anybody, so.
What about today?
Did the officer die?
Okay. Was there anything that puts you kind of in that state of mind where you were out walking around, looking at houses and having, hunches that you needed to enter them? Is there something that might have occurred earlier that would have put you in that state?
I think so. And then I guess I should say,
Sometimes we see people that are in a time of crisis, some terrible event has happened in their life, and things kind of get inexplicable from there for a little bit.
It really
seemed like a decent enough to me, and did something just go completely awry for you that had you just walking around people's houses? That's what doesn't add up,
I only walked into that house.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. So at that house.
Yes, there was a special hunch, I guess, from God, but
What were they telling you?
this is you. And then, I was.
Do you want me to where do you live?
Ackworth.
Do you want me to talk with, find out who's handling that case so that you can be a witness and help them? Did you do that?
Do you think that I could provide good information?
I do. I really do. I think that would be the Christian thing to do.
I suppose I could help if that would alleviate on your.
I think that'd be
huge. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah. And I appreciate you speaking with us today. I know a lot of things happened, but your honesty, obviously, that's what sets you free. And that's what gives you peace.
Yes, sir.
So if there's nothing else you want to talk to me about, tell me about, step out. But
golly, guys, Yes, sir. Say a prayer for you, man. I mean, I'm in due diligence to talk to God about my neighbors and make sure they're okay. And
Spend some time talking to him, because I think God will reach out to you and tell you to do the right thing. Yeah.
That's exciting news.
And I really will.
That's what he's there for. Guys, lead us and
So
guide us.
beautiful. It's just the truth. Just to be able to trust that, I really like trust. Security and trust.
Yeah.
You notice the defendant's reaction listening to himself in that police interview, looking down, seeming to get emotional. Let's get a commercial break. When we come back, we'll head back to the courtroom, see what's next for the prosecution's case against Matthew Lanz of the state of Georgia. Stay with us. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rollins. Good to be with you on this Wednesday. We're heading back to Georgia now. We're watching day 3 of a murder trial. The defendant's name is Matthew Lanz. He's charged with the murders of Cherokee County firefighter Justin Hicks and his wife Amber. They were both shot and killed in their home back in 2021. This is a bench trial, meaning the judge will decide Lanz's fate. Let's go back into the courtroom now for more of the defendant's police interview.
Trust.
Yeah. Well, I think we've established that here today. Trust and security.
I've always felt like I've tried to promote trustworthiness as a personality. Same. It's one of the most valuable things. Sure.
Well, I'm going to give you a minute to be alone with God, and hopefully He speaks to you. And
He's significantly blessed my life. And I deserve to live it.
I have a hunch that he's been talking to you when I get out of this room, and I think maybe you'll have something to help us, or help somebody, and help that child. I think that's what He's going to do. I think He's going to work through you to help that.
Right. And I will, we can talk about possibly witnessing for. You said it was a hearing, or just for evidence, or just to
help them, just find out who did this. So, all right, well, we'll go work on that, and I'll leave you, make sure it's quiet in here so that, because I know He's going to speak to you soon.
Can I get another water?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll run and grab you a fresh cup.